Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm Sean Abgill, your host. Well, Twitter is a mixture. It is many times a hot mess where some of the dumbest people on earth get to express themselves, and occasionally you will find very smart people offering incisive commentary. Well, I've picked out some of what I think are the best comments from the week, and let's see what you think. Also, this is a little bit different format, this video, than my normal ones, so let me know whether you think that this is something I should continue. So, first off, comment from John Robson. John is a journalist and political commentator. For my money, he's one of the smartest guys in Ottawa. When he talks, I listen. So he has this to say. There is a lot to dislike about Trump, but when Justin Trudeau launched his postmodern assault on our history, identity, and legitimacy, too many people who tried to push back were ineffective because they too scoffed at patriotism. All very true. So at one point, people were proud to be Canadian and could express that pride of being Canadian, and now that has been pushed away. People are no longer supposed to be patriotic. You're no longer supposed to say that you love Canada, and that's somehow a sign of hatred, I guess. I don't know. But that is John Robson's comment. All right, next up we have a comment from Dio Nandan. Dio Nandan is a professor of epidemiology at the University of Ottawa. He is someone who I suspect votes very different than I do, but that is to my advantage, because rather than just surrounding myself with people who are in the same silo as me, rather than surrounding myself with people who just parrot the same comments, have the same information sources, it is handy to me, it is useful to me to have a variety of points of view. And here's what he has to say about the easiest way to make money. Pursue anything to do with men's lust, women's desire for beauty, elderly's health, children's education, rich people's fear of loss, and poor people's desire to get quickly rich. Personally, I think the first, second, and last of those points are the key ones. Men's lusts, women's desire for beauty, and poor people wanting to get rich quick. The rich people, fear of loss, not as much, I don't think. They've got mechanisms and types of investments and so on to keep themselves from losing money. But far more are people who want to get rich quick. Don't want to get rich the slow way, the sure way. They want something quick and easy. All right. Now, let's look at what Lee Humphrey has to say. Lee is a veteran. He is also someone who comments frequently on Twitter. So, journalist appeaser blames Premier Daniel Smith for trying and lets Prime Minister Justin Trudeau off the hook for talking tough and doing absolutely nothing. And Lee has quoted the Man in the Arena, which is a very famous poem. I don't know if you'd call it a poem, by Theodore Roosevelt, but basically he says what really matters is the person who's actually trying. The people who just comment a lot are not as relevant. All right, let's look at something from Brian Lilly. Brian is a journalist with the Toronto Sun, very well-known Canadian journalist. And here's what he has to say about some of the goings-on this week. Trump's tariff threat is exactly why we should have had a federal election instead of a Liberal leadership campaign. We need a functioning government with a real mandate, not a lame duck PM staggering around. Pretty blunt, but I think it's quite accurate. Canada needs an election. We are in a rather unique, difficult situation, and it's going to get bad for us very quickly if we don't take strong measures and if we don't have a resolute government in place. So that's what Brian has to say. Here's another comment from Brian. Daryl Bricker, who is a Canadian pollster, a very well-known Canadian pollster, says 77% of Canadians want an immediate election to give the next government a strong mandate to deal with Trump's threats. Brian says, I fully agree. Do you? I fully agree with this. Then we have a comment by Dan McTeague. Dan is also known as the gas price wizard or the gas price guy, very famous in Canada. He's got his pulse on what's happening with the price of gas, and he'll be on the radio saying, okay, price is going to go up by 5 cents tomorrow. And of course, he's always right. Well, this is Dan's comment. Oh, Dan, by the way, used to be a Liberal member of Parliament, and then the Liberal Party kind of moved away from him. So here's a comment from Dan. He gets his wish of kneecapping Canada's #1 wealth generator and prosperity shield. And this is Dan's comment in response to Rick, who I don't really know. Canada is going the other way. Trudeau may place an export tax on oil, giving Trudeau and Carney the wedge politics they want and killing Alberta simultaneously. It's a win-win for the Liberal cult. Canada is on its deathbed due to the clowns running it. Sad country. Well, I'd like to point out something. If it wasn't for Alberta voting Conservative, the Liberals would win a lot more elections. So if you really care about the Liberal Party, driving Alberta out of Confederation is the thing to do. If you care about Canada, though, then you've got to try to keep Alberta in the country. All right, Yoni Freedhoff, he is also somebody I follow and has some good things to say. The only thing Trump is pro is Trump. Everything is transactional. The thing you think he'll care about and protect for you, he'll turn on it in a dime if doing so benefits him. You know, I think Trump is a complex man. At some times he's doing what's best for America. At other times he's doing what's best for Donald Trump. And you never know what you're going to get on a day-to-day basis with Donald Trump. I take Trump on an issue-by-issue basis. Some of his executive orders, maybe they're good. Some of them not so good. Some of them have left me scratching my head. I don't like the threats that he's making towards Canada and trying to take out America's closest ally. On the other hand, there's some things that Canada should have been doing a long time ago and hasn't been doing, and maybe we need a push in the right direction. Laurie Goldstein is another journalist in Canada, and he's pointing out Canadians overwhelmingly support retaliation to Trump tariffs, 82% in favor if the U.S. president introduces across-the-board 25% tariff on Canadian products on February 1st. So Canadians overwhelmingly support retaliation, and this is something that Trudeau is working on, and that'll get him some popularity, so he'll like that, but I don't think that's the best approach to dealing with Trump. I think Danielle Smith has got the right approach. I think Doug Ford has been good, talking about building Fortress Can-Am and so on. Well, here's Doug Ford talking about U.S. tariffs on Canada would be devastating for both of our economies, hurting workers and businesses on both sides of the border. President Trump seems intent on starting a trade war that will create the kind of economic uncertainty that only benefits China. There is a better way. Let's beat China with Fortress AmCan. And Ann Roll, somebody else I follow, says, what's wrong with the so-called Team Canada? Canadians want a strong military, terrorists removed from our soil, proper immigration standards, illegals sent home, and street fentanyl criminalized, but politicians would prefer a debilitating trade war before a healthy Canada. And I think she's got it right. I think our politicians have got entirely the wrong view on everything. In fact, immigration used to be a Canadian value. It was unquestioned that immigration was a good thing, and I supported that wholeheartedly. And then Trudeau broke it. And opinions in Canada have changed on immigration, and that's a bad thing. But it's a bad thing because Trudeau decided to flood the country. And in reality, we had a fantastic system where the best people in the world wanted to come to Canada, and we welcomed them, and they became part of our Canadian identity. And Trudeau went and broke that. Now, rather than trying to fix some of those problems, instead Trudeau wants to have a trade war because it's popular. Ian Brody has to say, a trade war could go on for a very, very long time. We run out of economy long before the U.S. does. Competing to see who can destroy their economy first is a losing game for Canada. I support the principle of building a new oil export pipeline in 12 months and doubling liquid natural gas. I agree. Let's tell the Americans, hey, it's in your best interest to work with us. It's in your best interest to buy more Canadian energy. Now, Stephen Guilbeault has supported Mark Carney to be the leader of the Liberal Party, and that's significant. And significant for one particular reason. Mark Carney has been musing about maybe Canada shouldn't have a carbon tax. Maybe we should replace it with something. And that's designed to get a very unpopular tax, sort of sweep it under the rug, and maybe Canadians will fall for it again. But Mark Carney is a true believer in the carbon tax, and if he's going to get rid of the carbon tax, he's going to replace it with something. It's going to have a different name, but it's going to be the same concept. It's going to have the same detrimental effect to the Canadian economy. Well, Stephen Guilbeault, who is the truest of all true believers in the carbon tax, supports Mark Carney. So he would not be supporting Mark Carney if Mark Carney was really and truly going to get rid of the carbon tax. All right. Last of the Twitter comments I've seen this last week, which I think was really interesting. When Trump was president the first time, a bust of Sir Winston Churchill was in the White House Oval Office. Biden had that removed. The Brits were very unhappy, of course. And Trump, one of the first things he did was he had this bust brought back into the Oval Office. Now, why is this significant? Well, first of all, it's a reminder of the special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom. It's also a tangible anchor to history. In any list of the top 10 greatest men or greatest people in the 20th century, surely Sir Winston Churchill would be on that list. And at a time when Britain was on the ropes, he kept Britain in the war and helped defeat Hitler by sheer force of his oratory. So I think it's a reminder of history. It's a reminder that the individual can make a difference, and I think it's a positive thing. If you know where I can get a small, inexpensive bust of Sir Winston Churchill, let me know. I'll put it on my bookshelf behind me, along with the Eiffel Tower, along with HMCS Snowberry, and that would be good. All right, so that's what I think about this week in Twitter. Some of the key comments, I think, that have been made. What are your opinions? Tell me what you're thinking. Am I off base on some of these? Am I on base? Maybe some of these people are people that you would want to follow. It's entirely up to you. Also, if I can ask a favor, please like, please subscribe, please comment, and please share. So still a small channel, and your participation makes all the difference. Every time I get one subscriber, I'm over the moon happy. So thank you very much for your support. I'm Sean Abigail. That's Encounters with Life.